Hello everyone, welcome to .NET Mirror channel. Today let's understand how to deploy ASP.NET Core Web API to Azure API App Service. In this video, we will try to understand what is Azure API App, what are its features. We will try to create a basic ASP.NET Web API and run that on local. Then we will create an Azure API app on Azure. Then we will try to deploy this local Web API to Azure API app. And we will run the same local API demo on Azure. What is Azure API App? Azure API App is a Microsoft Azure service offering. It facilitates to create, deploy, and manage your web APIs for the cloud as well as on-prem environments. It's a PaaS offering, platform as a service, which means that you don't need to manage any underlying infrastructure. Simply, you create APIs, expose those APIs to your clients. It could be web or mobile applications. Let's understand the features of Azure API App. With Azure API App, you can pick up your own language to develop the APIs. It could be .NET, PHP, Node, Python, or Java. And it has inbuilt support of cross-origin resource sharing as well as Swagger support for your documentation. You can easily integrate your APIs with Azure services like API management, Azure SQL, Logic Apps, and there are many more other Azure services which are supported with API App. It has inbuilt authentication mechanism with Azure AD and other authentication connectors, and you can call Microsoft APIs as well. Once you develop your APIs, you can configure CI/CD to deploy your APIs, and it is an easy and faster way to deploy your APIs. For anything related to pricing, you have to refer Azure App Service plans for API app, and it's a secure platform. You can scale automatically whenever you need. You can scale in or you can scale out, and also you can monitor your app, configure alerts, and configure auto scaling. So these are few features of Azure API app, and there are many more. Now let's understand, before getting into demo, right, what is required. You should have Visual Studio IDE, you should have an Azure account, and basic knowledge of ASP.NET C Sharp and Azure. Now let's get into the demo. So what we will do is we will develop a local API. Once it is done, we'll create an API app and we'll try to deploy this API and run the web API on the cloud. Let me open Visual Studio. You can create ASP.NET Core Web API, but I already created an API application. So let me open that. So let's look at the Solution Explorer. Yeah, so this is my application. It has weather forecast controller. So by default, it's created a weather forecast class, and also it created a controller. The controller contains a get operation where it is trying to return the data, uh, date time, as well as the temperature and the summary. From the summary, it is trying to send random kind of summaries. So it is sending a range of 1 to 5. Now let's run this application locally. So inbuilt it has Swagger enabled. So now let me invoke this forecast. So let's execute this. So it is, if you look at here, it is sending five kind of collections with the date, temperature, and summary, and it is picking the random values from this range. Now this is working on locally. Now let's try to deploy this application to Azure portal. So let me open Azure portal. So to create an API app, go to create resource. You have to select API app. You can select API app and you can create your own resource, and you can name your app, and it has to be unique, and click on code. You can select .NET 8. Make sure that when you're creating a new API, please select .NET 8. The region, you can select the nearest region you want, and you can select the app service plan as well. So it's trying to load the region. So it has Canada Central. Not change this. The Windows plan, right, it is selecting standard. We don't need this, so you can go and just pick up the free version. So let me select free version. But if you are building a dev or the production ones, you have to go for higher pricing plans. For the demo, I've just selected this pricing plan, and I don't need any database, no CI/CD, no networking, no monitor, no tags, and just click on review and create. This takes a couple of minutes to create the API app, but I already created an API app. Let's use that. So let's go home. So I've created DNM weather API already. So let me browse this. So if you see this, our web app is running and now it's ready to deploy. Now let's go to Visual Studio. So from the Solution Explorer on the project, right click, click on Publish. Now you can connect using Publish Profile. Because I already connected to my Azure account, I will get my app service here, and you can connect your Azure account from Visual Studio. Let me select Windows. So automatically our API comes here. Let's click on Next. API management, I'll skip for now. Let's click on Finish. So now the profile is connected. You can just click on All Settings and go to Connection and make sure you're able to connect to your service. And if you are getting any error over here, please just go to your app service and in the configuration enable basic authentication plus FTP authentication so that there are no issues with publish profile. Now our connection is succeeded. Let me save this. Now we are ready to deploy this application. Let's click on publish. Now our app is ready, and if I try to browse with Swagger, now this is the cloud version. Now if I click on weather forecast, try it out. Now if I execute, I'm getting the data. So I can click execute, I'll get next set of data, which means that our local web API now working on cloud with API app. So make sure when you're getting into proper API development, make sure you have authentication and authorization is in place for your APIs. Now we are done with the demo. Just one thing you have to do is before you deploy to Azure, just comment out this particular section from program.cs because we are deploying this application with a release version. It doesn't work. So you have to comment this out. Let's go back to our PPT. So how API app is different from web apps? Both are comes under Azure App Service only. Web apps is a complete website where you can do an UI plus application development like ASP.NET MVC application. And even the API apps comes under App Service only. The API development, right? You can create your APIs and you can import them in Azure API management. Now anything with web, mobile, and API apps are collectively comes under Azure App Service. And I've created an article. I'll put this in description. It has complete step by step process how you can do this, and also I push this particular code. You can extract it and use it. Thanks for watching the video. Please like it, share it, and click on bell icon to get new videos notifications. Thanks for watching.